we call it principle of classical conditioning. Principle of classical conditioning. Principle of classical conditioning. Number one is stimulus generalization. Class say stimulus generalization. Stimulus generalization. An animal can react to a similar stimulus that is lending to react. An animal can react to a similar stimulus that is lending to react. An animal can react to a similar stimulus that is lending to react. Ivan Pavlov did not end conducting those 3 stages we saw before, but also he continued conducting several researches where, from here, Ivan Pavlov, he took a bell, he rang a bell, and the animal, dog, salvated. One day, he placed the sound of buzzer, and also dog salvated. That's why he learned that also an animal can generalize. In a learning, an animal also can generalize. He placed the sound of a bell, a dog salvated. Then one day, he placed the sound of a buzzer, and also dog salvated. Let's assume you teach a learner from 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. Then one day, the question comes, 2 plus 1. What do you think a learner can react? He can say, the answer is 3. Why? Because of the similarity, similar environment. The same number are here. Assume the bell is lost here in the school. Then we take something that we learn at that time that the learner also at the time that they go out. Will they go out or stay in the class? Repeat. We have a problem here then, let's say thief, they stole a bell of the school. Then the time for coming out, then we take some part of other, the similar, they learn like a bell, but not the sound of the bell. Then we link together. The learners will come out of the class, or stay to the class. Why? Because of similarity. Similarity because of the time and similarity. That's why an animal can react to a similar situation that is learned to react. Ivan Pavlov rang a bell and the dog salvated. One day he placed the sound of a buzzer. Sound of buzzer became a filimbi, isn't it? And the dog also salvated. Buzzer is written like this, buzzer, sound of a buzzer. It's like this. Then the dog also salvated. But we have also, he did not end there. He did some experiment that is called discrimination. Class say discrimination. Principle of classical conditioning. Number 1, we said stimulus generalization. Number 2, discrimination. Discrimination is an animal can distinguish or differentiate. An animal can distinguish or differentiate a learning stimulus. An animal can differentiate a learning stimulus. Class, what did we say about psychology? We said psychology is referred to the scientific study of behavior and mind. How about educational psychology? We said it's educational psychology referred to the scientific study of behavior and mind in relation to teaching and learning process. What did we say educational psychology cover? It covers learners, teachers, very good. learning process, teaching situation, and evaluation of performance. For Ivan Pavlov, we said we have in Unit 2, we have a learning theory. Where number 1 you have behavioral theory, which it covers number 1, classical conditioning by Ivan Pavlov. Then we have trial and error theory by Edward Thorndike. Then we have operant theory by B.F. Skinner. While in cognitive theory we have discovery by J. Brunner. Then we have reception by D. Ausberg. But for classical conditioning, for an animal to acquire new behavior, we said it must involve 3 steps. Number 1, before conditioning. Then we have during conditioning. Then we have after conditioning. So we said, Ivan Pavlov did not end there doing research or doing his experiment, but we said he continued to do experiments. Experiment number 1 was stimulus, generalization. Experiment number 2 was discrimination. In discrimination, what did Ivan Pavlov do? He rang a bell. The dog salvated. He pressed the food, the dog salvated. After the salvation of the dog and the eat of the food, he pressed the bell, a horn. Class, together. You just listen. He pressed the bell, the dog salvated. He gave a food to a dog. After finishing a food, then he pressed the sound of a horn. Tomorrow he came, he did the same. Pressed the bell, food. After the food, then he pressed the horn. He came again, pressed the bell, food, then after food, horn. One day, he started to press a horn, and a dog did not salvate. What the dog learned? Mbona kila nikishiba ndo inapigwa horn, si ndio Mbona leo imeanza nini? Horn. Kwa hiyo Mungu akufanya nini? Hakusalvate. Kumbe tukajifunza, in a learning process, an animal can differentiate or distinguish the learned stimulus. Class, together. Ivan Pavlov tumesema anamfanyia mbwa. Mimi na wewe tutakuwa tumfanyie. Mimi na wewe tutakuwa tumfanyie nani? Elena. Kumbe Elena anaweza ka distinguish learned material. Anaweza kutofautisha. Singa tumeelewana. Wakati ya kwanza tunaona mwanafunzi anaweza kufanya nini? Kugeneralize. Je, mitihani yote inayotoka ndio hicho mlichowafundisha wanafunzi exactly? Hapana, si ndio Lakini kuna mfanano, si ndio Wana react to a similar, si ndio stimulus, si ndio that is learned to react. Lakini pia wanaweza wakadifferentiate au wakadiscriminate kwamba hiki tulisoma, hiki hatuja kisoma, si ndio Hiki tulikisoma lakini hatukukisoma kwa namna hii kulingana na mwalimu alivyotufundisha. Sika tumeelewana? Kwa hiyo in learning tunaona kumbe Elena can generalize, Elena also can discriminate. Ivan Pavlov baada anatoa mchango wake kwenye learning situation. Number 3, anatoa kitu kinaitwa extinction. Can say extinction. Extinction. This refers to partial or total disappearance of behavior. Disappearance of behavior. Total or partial disappearance of behavior. If the learned behavior cannot be maintained, it can disappear. It can disappear. Class, to assume, and Ivan Pavlov anasema, if the maintained behavior, if the conditioned behavior cannot be maintained, then it can disappear. Is it okay? Is it true? Watoto wale tukiwafundisha wanasoma kwa sababu ya mtihani. Ukiacha kwamba mtihani hao wanaanza kusoma. Is it true? Si ndio Ndio maana na saba tunapa mtihani mara kwa ili kufanya nini? Kuto kupoteza ile tabia. Ivan Pavlov alistop playing a bell. Kumbuka zile hatua alizofanya nyuma. akaja kustop rang a bell for a while. Alipokuja kupiga kengele, mbwa anaangalia tu, asalvate tena. Ile tabia ikawa imefanya nini? Imepotea. Kumbe the conditioned behavior, if cannot be maintained, it can disappear. Hivi tuashumu wale kuku mwafundisha kuwapiga mnuzi wanakuja, wanakula chakula. Ukaja ukakaa miezi 6 ukarudi, kupiga mnuzi watakuja? Kwa nini? Ile tabia inafanya nini? Inapotea. Si ndio rafiki zangu? Kwa hiyo Ivan Pavlov pia alifanya kumbe ili wanafunzi wasome, ili kuwe na muendelezo, lazima ile tabia tuliyowazoesha iendelee kufanya nini? Tuashumu tusipofanya mkagua Jumatatu na Alhamisi, tukaacha kufuatilia kabisa iwe safi wachafu, tukaacha kuwafuatilia, tukija miezi 5, hali itakuwaje? Itakuwa tete, si ndio? Kwa nini? Kumbe ile tabia inaitwa extinction, partial or total disappearance of behavior. Partial inaweza kapotea kidogo, wengine wakawa bado wanakumbuka ile usafi, au ikawa imefanya nini? Imepotea moja kwa moja. Principle of classical conditioning. Ya kwanza tumesema ni nini? Generalization. Ya kwanza ni stimulus generalization. Ya pili discrimination. Ya tatu extinction. Ya 4 ni spotenous recovery. Number 4 is spotenous recovery. Spotenous recovery. Very good. Spotenous recovery. Number 4 is spotenous recovery. This states that the disappeared behavior once it was conditioned, it can easily re-emerge. It can easily emerge or revoke or reoccur. Disappear. Tusikilizane rafiki zangu, mtaandika sawa? Tusikilizane vizuri. Ya kwanza tumesema principle of classical condition. Ya kwanza tumesema nini? Stimulus generalization. Ya pili discrimination. Ya tatu extinction. Number 4 spotenous recovery. Class A spotenous recovery. Spotenous recovery ni urudiji wa haraka. Anasema this state that the disappeared behavior once it was conditioned, it can easily re-emerge or reoccur or revoke. Manake nini? Kwa mfano, mimi na rafiki yangu, what's your name?
My name is
Bukuku. Mimi na Bukuku rafiki yangu hapa. Mimi nilifundisha kuku kwa miezi 6 tukaacha wote. Sisi kama nimeona Bukuku. Ila niliwahi wafundisha. Bukuku ndo anaanza kuwafundisha kuku kupiga ile mruzi ili waje wale mahindi. Kati ya mimi na Bukuku, mimi ambaye nilifundisha miezi 6 na ndo anaanza. Wewe watakuwa na urudiji wa haraka kukumbuka. Ndio wakifanya nini? Hiyo ndio inaitwa spotenous recovery. This is that the disappeared behavior once it was conditioned. Kama ulifanya nini? Ulicondition. It can easily re-emerge. Inaweza ikarudi kwa haraka, tofauti na wewe ambao unafanya nini? Unaanza kufanya nini? Kuifundisha. Hizi zinaitwa principle of classical conditioning.